A warm welcome to all our viewers to our series, Natural Medicine. So, we've already talked a lot about nature, but that nature also has some connection with a Schumann frequency. I've heard that from many people. But somehow I never understood it until today, what the Schumann frequency is, where it comes from, what it means, whether it goes up or down, as it's always said that the Schumann frequency is changing, which I don't understand at all. That's why I invited a health analyst today. A warm welcome, dear Per Zebergs. Thank you for having me. What is the Schumann frequency? The real definition is the Earth's own electromagnetic resonance frequency between the Earth's surface and the ionosphere. And it was calculated by Professor Schumann in 1952. But could not be proven until 1960, and that has exactly 7.83 Hertz. So again, what is the Schumann frequency? I still don't understand. The Earth's own electromagnetic resonance frequency. It's also said to be the heartbeat of Mother Earth, so this is, so to speak, the background vibration in our living space, and everything in evolution has evolved according to that. This is our medium, in which we swim. Like fish in water, we swim in a medium, which pulsates in the Schumann frequency 7.83 Hertz. And this Schumann frequency, how should I put this? The human body, especially the pineal gland, vibrates exactly in the Schumann frequency, in this 7.83 Hertz, and it's recalibrated to the Schumann frequency every 30 seconds by the Earth's magnetic field. Please, let's start all over again. I still haven't understood. We have the globe. And now, please, just for me, please, very slowly, and then the space up to the ionosphere. It's up here, right? And in between, we have an electromagnetic vibration as a background vibration, as a frequency, and it's called the Schumann frequency. So it goes outside the Earth, so from the globe to the ionosphere. That's a standing, pulsating field. Okay, good. Who on earth had the idea to want to calculate that? Professor Schumann did that. And the wave up there resonates with us down here. We are calibrated to the Schumann frequency. Then we are in harmony, and the Schumann frequency is pretty much identical to the brain waves. We have different brain waves, so delta, theta, alpha, beta, gamma, but let's say the low alpha range is about 8 Hertz, and the upper delta range is about 6 to 8 Hertz. We are right there. There we are in a creative state of relaxation in the brain. It's also called the alpha state. So actually we're connected with the Schumann frequency. Yeah, and then we are, when we are in this alpha state, in this harmony with the Earth, then we're also in growth mode. That's what it's called. So then the cells and everything else is relaxed, everything in harmony, everything has the right vibration. Is it a healing path too? It's also a healing path. The Schumann frequency goes much, much further. It goes down to the subatomic realm. So it's like this. I have the atoms, and around the atoms there are also these orbitals of electrons. And the electrons, I'm lost again, wait a minute. Very slowly, just for me, dear viewers, please bear with me. I'm slow on the uptake today. So we're made of cells, cells made of molecules, and in the end we come down to the smallest unit, these are atoms. Atoms consist of an atomic nucleus and electrons. And the electrons swing in the outer area. These are called orbitals. But they're insanely far away, you just have to say that too. If, for example, an atomic nucleus was the size of a soccer field, they would swing around it 100 soccer fields away. So there's an incredible void in it. And these electrons are very special particles, so they can sometimes be there, sometimes not be there. Sometimes they are particles and sometimes they are waves. Only when I have a scientifically neutral observer, without any motivation, only when they're following a process, This electron basically already realizes itself as a particle. So it actually only exists as a particle when I have an observer. And now it's like that. That means I actually see you as an illusion. Yeah, you can say it that way. You're not here at all. If I look away, now you're gone. Unless the audience sees you. I am a persistent illusion. Okay, we have to do a show about it, I get it. Now, I have the electrons, and the electrons change their physical state. So they are particles or waves. In between, they aren't even there, but that's a different story. Then they're in another dimension, particle or wave, and they change this aggregate state on average exactly 7.8 times per second. That means they orientate themselves at the Schumann frequency. So that means that this Schumann frequency is very important for us humans. Extremely important, because the Schumann frequency is also the pineal gland's own frequency. But now I keep hearing people saying that the Schumann frequency changes. Isn't this impossible? Well, you have to take a closer look at it. The Schumann frequency, per se, is calculated as a constant. That has to do with the speed of light in relation to the circumference of the Earth. Because nothing has changed there, it's a constant. The discussion is whether the harmonic waves, there are 8 harmonic waves, 14 Hz, 20 Hz, 26 Hz, and so on, whether they change, and they always have changed. The HeartMath Institute has checked that over the years. These harmonic waves of the Schumann frequency have always changed according to the seasons, and the change today to how it used to be is not that significant that they would say there is a change. But others see it a little differently, that basically the constant stayed the same. So we know that this is a very strong form of energy that actually brings us into the relaxation area. Harmony, relaxation, reset. Now, I quickly make a loop whenever I'm in the mountains or close to a mountain. I also have the feeling that there is such an energy, a vibration coming towards me. Could that also be a lot of Schumann frequencies? There are other frequencies as well. On the Earth's surface, we have a negatively charged energy field. And ideally, we absorb that when we walk barefoot. We can absorb it even when we put our hands on the floor, for example. Or a third place is the forehead, by the way. The forehead also receives this negatively charged energy field from the Earth. And then we have the Earth's magnetic field, so we have an incredible number of antenna systems in the body, where energy, whether it comes from the sun, from the Earth's magnetic field, from cosmic rays, many people are also somnambulant. This has to do with lunisolar vibrations, and also has to do with gravitational fields. We can take it all in. Maybe it's also a reflection of photons. Photons are the information particles from electromagnetism. We get a lot of information from the sun that can also come from there. But nature is genius anyway. You get information and oxygen, and everything vibrates and floats. Now, back to the Schumann frequency. I've already seen that there are doctors, therapists, who work with medical devices that emit this Schumann frequency. Is that effectively there for these people to actually come into relaxation mode? To accelerate their repair process? It's exactly that. I have the Cell Energy Center in Mallorca. For me, it's all about cell energy. I just focus on it. It's all about energy. And I have systems there called Schumann 3D systems. 3D, three-dimensional. Basically, this is played into the body mechanically. So these are plates, and there are even new plates now. One even has a Tesla frequency on it. So a scalar field from Tesla, that's also awesome. It's on it. I have the Schumann frequency. I have the Earth's negatively charged energy field on this crystal plate. And I also have a Tesla scalar frequency on it. You can't get more than that. But what happens when I come into the Schumann frequency? I'll come into my alpha state, that is the creative relaxation state. I come from the sympathetic cycle, which I have all day, because I'm stressed, because I have too much electric smog or something else. I'm getting out of the stress response mode into the regeneration mode, into growth mode. But that would mean that if, for example, we were to connect briefly every hour or every 2 hours with the Schumann frequency, then we should actually come from the tension, from stress, immediately into total relaxation. Is that an accelerator? In 5 to 10 minutes, you will be totally relaxed. This state of relaxation doesn't only affect the brain, it also affects muscles, tendons, and connective tissue. Everything lets go. Everything lets go. Everything opens, like in deep sleep. This is full regeneration in 10 minutes. It really is like that. Actually, as a manager, you should have such devices. 10 minutes after having had a long meeting or someone who's had to work hard, or otherwise after a sporting competition, you have 80% full regeneration after 10 minutes. It's pure madness. Because you can get a reset everywhere. Too much lactic acid has been formed, you have a problem here, you don't have enough oxygen there, you get a reset, come into harmony, and the body does its job again. And when you have that reset, you're in alpha state, then you're in the parasympathetic cycle, so in the state of regeneration. Then the following happens, then self-regulation. The body can control and regulate everything itself. Self-regulation is activated. This also means that the immune system is activated. And when you have activated the immune system, then you have the self-healing processes. The body can solve any problem if you just let it and put it in the situation. How does it look in medicine these days? How's this idea, this technology, this science established itself? Are these peripheral areas, or what does it look like? These Schumann 3D systems, everyone who uses them really uses them, they won't collect dust, and you can prevent an incredible amount of operations with it. I know a bank surgeon. He's done 350 disc operations in his life. He no longer has to operate, he can prevent that. Where's the problem with most things? We're too tight everywhere. I need space everywhere, for example, a disc in the spine. It must have space so that it can fill up with cell water again at night. Then it has this buffer function again. If I'm too tight, it can't fill up with water, so I'll always have pinched nerves. Then I have a herniated disc, then I have wear and tear. It's exactly the same if I have osteoarthritis in my knee, for example. Then I'm tight. Then the cartilage and everything in the body can regenerate because there are no cells in the body except for a few nerve cells, a few heart cells older than 7 years. Every organ, everything has the ability to regenerate. And the cartilage in the knee, too many say it's not true, but it is. We see it here all the time. And if I create distance there, then the cartilage has time to regenerate. And because of the vibration, everything goes in harmony, and more synovial fluid is produced, and I lose the pain very quickly. So in the joints and the skeletal area, but what's still important for me is the mindset that I get out of stress response mode. I have to be honest, I've had an extremely stressful job with a couple of projects. And then for 10 months, with the exception of a few days at Christmas and New Year's, I never slept more than 5 hours and worked all day, 12, 14, 16 hours. So I did double of what you would normally do, and that for over 10 months. This technology saved me back then. I was on it in the morning to stimulate and lay on it in the evening before going to bed. I often fell asleep on it to calm down immediately, to be able to calm down the system, because when you have a lot of stress, your brain waves are in the middle, higher beta range, around 30 hertz. But if you get into the regenerative deep sleep, you have to go down to 8 hertz, so in the alpha range, in that area. And when you have had a lot of stress, you watch TV beforehand, the blue backlight is very bad, then you've switched your inner clock to the light mode, then you need an hour and a half to calm down. Then you lost an hour and a half of regenerative deep sleep. Then you have no melatonin production for the regeneration of everything that is necessary. And of course, Schumann is great there. So I combine that. This is my basic technology in the Cell Energy Center. I get people down, bring them into the process of self-regulation, and then I say, now you need extra energy. And then I use the cell tuner, where the principle is based on Tesla, where I can supply all the energy for a body that is ready and open to it. Now we're doing recycling, now we're doing repairs, now we're renewing 7 million body cells per second. That's in the process now, and then it gets the energy on top of that. You brought something with you to be able to show this experiment of energy transfer so that you can see it. But now, of course, the whole concept makes a lot more sense. Now I understand it too. What use is a repair process if the body is in the sympathetic cycle and not in the parasympathetic? It doesn't work. We know that every repair to the body only works in relaxation mode and not in stress. And what can be a very interesting side note, when I'm in relaxation mode and also have the pineal gland in harmony. That's Schumann frequency. The pineal gland is the gland back here, and it has a frequency. Its natural frequency is the Schumann frequency. And who found this out? Can you measure it? You can measure that. Today you can measure anything. You know the natural frequency of every organ, and it has exactly the same frequency as Schumann. And when that is in harmony, I have a completely different intuition and inspiration. This is also called the third eye. The pineal gland has calcite around it and is next to the heart and the brain by far the strongest antenna. It can absorb all information from the outside. But can the pineal gland have a different frequency, or is it always the same? It should be the same. So if it's out of rhythm, it has a different frequency, or it's then calcified because it's full of toxins and the inflammation had to be stopped by calcification. So the pineal gland is for intuition, for science, for artists. The alpha and omega. The alpha and omega. And today, because of the many toxins that we have, the pineal gland is outside, by the way, the blood-brain barrier, because it's built from the same material as the palate. It doesn't belong to the brain. As what? As the palate. It was of the same tissue as the palate when it developed. So it's not a part of the brain, so it's outside. It's not protected by the blood-brain barrier. That means all invaders, all pathogenic germs, substances, environmental signals, and so on can enter unfiltered. Because the blood-brain barrier is in the brain, and that's outside of the blood-brain barrier. And this pineal gland has a lot of membranes. So all kinds of toxins can accumulate there. One of it is aluminium, another one is cadmium. Fluorides are a disaster. I don't know how you can still buy toothpaste with fluorides today. Could that mean that all these toxins on the one hand encapsulate our pineal gland to such an extent that we humans are actually becoming more and more monotonous zombies who do everything? Many abilities that make up the pineal gland, this intuition, it's this third eye, this connection with the universe, is almost destroyed by the calcification. And I have to add that the pineal gland in humans used to be much larger. If you have a healthy 10-year-old today, an adult today has roughly a pineal gland that has shrunk 10 times. And then in the worst case, it's also calcified. But now you have to see the relation to diseases. I read something from Dr. Warnke, and that's one of the best scientists on earth, that they found that 100% of MS patients had calcified pineal glands. Can you get rid of this calcification? So what you can do, Schumann helps, of course, the Schumann frequency. And the pineal gland is in the third ventricle. This is an antrum underneath the brain, and it is filled with brine-like fluid, similar to the amniotic sac. Now, I basically vibrate, I get the water there to vibrate, then I already have a good opportunity to discharge toxins, and I'll bring it back into harmony. That's point one. If, on top of this, I make this liquid here hexagonally by irradiating it, then I create more energy in there, more energy of my own. The mitochondria there are also enriched with more energy. And I have an exclusion zone there, which means that the toxins are pushed to the edge and can be better transported away. I have to make sure that I get the toxins out of the pineal gland. I have to get it free again, and then I irradiate here. And I'm actually doing a coup. I have to honestly say that. I figured it out myself. I'm probably the only one in the world who does it. I use this Schumann 3D plate with the Tesla frequencies. I stand on it for 15 minutes in the morning and drink hexagonal water beforehand and then irradiate myself. Or at the same time, primarily in the head area, but mainly in the pineal gland. Then it happened to me that at night, I woke up at 3 a.m. because my head was fireworks of inspiration and ideas. I had to write them down. So that helps with intuition, with inspiration. And many say, what is science? It's nothing more than intuition. People actually don't invent anything in the real sense. They discover something that's already there anyway. I don't see you now as a person who doesn't have enough energy. But show us quickly how this energy transfer takes place. There is, of course, this ingenious inventor Tesla, who for me is the greatest inventor of all time. He discovered this scalar wave, but he also said he was connected to the universe. He just had a functioning pineal gland. He sat down in front of his electromagnetic coils and had inspiration and ideas there. Today, we can no longer understand what the man has had in his head, and Einstein said that for him, he's the most intelligent person in the world. Back then, and we use it back today, he could already transfer energy, pure electrical energy, through the scalar wave he discovered. And this scalar wave, he was the only one to... How did you come up with this concept? That's actually phenomenal. First, bring people down to the base where healing and regeneration can take place at all, and then you give the energy, and then this cell membrane potential goes up again. It's phenomenal. I figured it out myself, but I've studied a lot and I've done a lot. I have an incredible number of technologies, and for me, these are the two master technologies. I have to kind of bring people out of the stress reaction mode, bring them to an alpha state. Alpha state means automatically the sympathetic cycle, and sympathetic is easy to remember when someone's stressed. I sympathize with them. So regeneration has to be the opposite. So I have to activate the parasympathetic cycle. And then I have self-regulation. The body can regulate everything itself, but I have to let it happen. And when I have self-regulation, I've activated the immune system, because when I'm in the sympathetic cycle, I have a lot of adrenaline and cortisol release. That just means that the immune system is deactivated. So I have to get people out of the stress and into regeneration and then supply them with energy. For me, this is a well-rounded concept. I was still a little bit unfamiliar with the importance of the pineal gland. I didn't know that either, because you don't hear anything about it in medicine. There is a lot more. The pineal gland is the master gland of all glands. It tells the thymus gland, the thyroid gland, whichever gland, or mammary glands when they have to release which hormones. The pineal gland produces some of its own hormones, but it orders the hormones in the microbiome. So in the intestinal flora that we need all over the body, the initial control of the intestinal flora on the subject of producing hormones occurs from the pineal gland. And for people with hormone problems, it can also be related to that. It certainly has a connection. Definitely a connection. That's the master gland for the other glands and the initial control of the microbiome. And then it's the strongest antenna we have. Nikola Tesla certainly had a super antenna because he was connected to the universe via the pineal gland. That's why we have calcite there. Well, I learned a lot today, especially about the Schumann frequency. It always had a little esoteric touch, I thought. But now I know it's pure science, and that our body is actually on the same frequency via the pineal gland. It's phenomenal. And that there is a great risk that this will be encapsulated. It gets calcified, and the calcification is done to stop the damage caused by the inflammation. And then that's calcified, then the pineal gland is blocked. So we're all well advised to irradiate ourselves from behind and to clear this point, to not lose our emotions and our intuition. Well, now, two questions. One's about this Schumann story. You were talking about a plate, and I think there's certainly a lot more reading material there. Do you have any idea where in the world there is a platform where you can read a little more? At quantisana.ch. I've also personally made an elaboration there. I once dealt very intensively with the Schumann frequency because it fascinated me so much, because the effects of it are extremely important. This is nature's most important biological frequency, not recognized by many. And also a highly decorated scientist, Professor Koenig, he used to be the president of the Technical University in Munich, which is a very well-known institution. He once said that for him, it was the most important individual scientific finding of the century, to have recognized the effects of the Schumann frequency on all living organisms. Accordingly, we should use it for our path of recovery, or also for healthy people, to come down again and again, to calm down, to relax. We'd probably also connect well with the Schumann frequency when we're just barefoot and sitting on the floor doing yoga or something. There you have more of this negatively charged energy field. You'd rather have that in the ionosphere, but when we are open, we can do it all. We are an antenna system. But if, for example, I now close the calcite antennas or the magnet crystals in the brain membrane, in the nerve cells, or we have glial cells, we have a lot of antenna systems. Mitochondria with the ring DNA, the double helix structure of the DNA. But when I let too many toxins in, everything is acidic. then the antenna systems won't work either. And most importantly, when I have inflammation, I have to calcify it as an emergency measure of the body, and every disease is a sensible, special biological measure in the initial stage. I have to solve a problem now in order not to have even bigger problems, to gain time. That's also the calcification. It's always exciting to talk to you, and once again we got to an even deeper basis for the path of recovery, or for maintaining the health of us humans, that we simply deal with things that really are the foundation, instead of starting repair processes on the 5th, 6th, 7th floor. The foundation is down here, and the Schumann frequency is one of them. And what is also important, this antenna, this handheld probe, the cell tuner, this Tesla oscillator is also part of it. And you just have to say, perhaps the decisive factor is what we are made of. 99% of all molecules in a person's body are water molecules. And if I get mechanical Schumann frequencies into the body, all of these water molecules resonate. There's no other way, all instantaneously at the same time. That means I reach all cells, intracellular water that makes up 60%, extracellular water makes up 40%. I reach everything. In the liquor, in the head, I reach everything. The lymphatic fluids, in the bloodstream, I reach everything. And the same is with electromagnetic waves. That's why electromagnetic waves are so valuable. With them, I can reach all cells, all antennas in my whole body at a speed of 186,000 miles per second, and can provide them with new information, with new energy. You don't need any medication. So if you hold that in the back of the pineal gland, you actually get it down to your little toe right away. Yes, why? Because here are the main nerve pathways. They conduct energy, even electricity. They are semiconductors everywhere. This is my favorite irradiation point. At the back, I have two main nerve channels. Then I have the cerebellum at the back, the motor center. Then I have the pineal gland at the back, as we've already said. And I have the second parasympathetic center headquarters, where everything is controlled. I give energy to the regeneration system. The second part, by the way, sits here at the back of the tailbone of the parasympathetic nervous system. Well, we have to come to an end again, dear Pierre. It's always such a pleasure to pump you in for information. So much comes out of it, and some of it really challenges me to follow you. But I love to learn. I'm also very grateful that I was able to have this conversation with you today and was able to gain an incredible amount of valuable information for me. Thank you very much, dear Pierre. Thank you. Well, we'll stay on the ball with you. Always exciting. Dear viewers, I also hope that you, like me, understood a little more today what the Schumann frequency is, and maybe you had it a bit easier than me. I was a bit slow at first, but it's also not easy to understand all of this. But in the end, I understand that the Schumann frequency is a very important thing for our health, and that electron transfer is ultimately also important to get energy into our body. Totally interesting foundation. So with this in mind, thank you very much for watching. I wish you all the best. See you next time.